Welcome to the episode 11 of the Hard to Name podcast. I'm here with Travis.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Alright, let's start over.
I can also hear myself.
I didn't want you to waste it if you couldn't hear me.
Nope, I can totally hear it. We're in it now. This is it.
Are you throwing it in, or you want me to throw it in?
It's already been thrown in.
Well, what?
Yep.
We're not doing it this way.
We're doing it this way.
That's some technical issues.
Nope, we're showing people the gritty, raw, real
Pulling
deal.
back the curtain?
Pulling back the curtain. Showing them what it's like to podcast live from the streets. With a Z.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to episode 11.
Welcome to episode 11.
We made it past 10.
We did. We made it past 10.
Over the hump.
Both episode-wise and on the clock. So, here we are, staying up past an old man's bedtime.
Past our bedtimes. We need Ovaltine and we need sleep. Drinking coffee at 10:30 as usual in the Hard to Name podcast. Thank you guys for all the retweets and the likes, all the view counts. We're growing more and more each week. Appreciate all the feedback, guys, once again. Adam, what's going on with you, man, this week in the world of Adam's gaming?
Oh, I wrapped up everything I said I was going to wrap up last weekend. So I am on to Fallout DLC, which is exciting and also disappointing for reasons that we'll get into later. But
yes,
yeah, Fallout is awesome. I mean, going back to the DLC, it's like I never stopped playing that game. So
I wouldn't know. I've never gotten into it.
Oh man, you are missing out.
I know I'm missing out. It's just, everyone has those games, those franchises they just miss the boat on. Not intentionally sometimes. I was always playing other games, I guess, and I don't know.
Fallout 4 is legit. It's, like I said, I think I've even said it before on the show. I personally like 3 a little bit better. I
was going to say, when we hear the general consensus from Fallout fans, it's usually 3 or New Vegas. Usually not New Vegas.
Whoever is saying New Vegas is probably Gary, and he's an idiot. So.
Yeah, Gary. That's our Gary Sucks segment for the week. Because he doesn't like New Vegas. Even though I've never played New Vegas, I'll let Adam vouch.
He does like... I'm pretty sure Gary has told me that he likes New Vegas more than Fallout 3.
Whoopsie.
So, anybody who thinks that, you're an idiot. Unless you're our fan, in which case I don't mean to insult you. So, thanks for the retweets, guys. But you know what I'm talking about. Fucking people that like New Vegas.
Now you got to give a shout out though to all our listeners, man. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be doing this. Like seriously,
we probably
they made us play some crappy games, even though we'll let that slide, especially this week.
That's true. Before we get into anything, you want to just jump right into Sailor Moon, or you want to get into the news? What do you want to do first?
We can flip flop.
I don't care what we do. I'm down. We're getting really real.
We can throw it to the wind. It doesn't matter on this episode because we're going balls to the wall. The curtain's back. Doing a little peekaboo action. We'll go right into it. This week's game of the week, was it from Mary Hatcher, Adam?
Yes.
From Mary Hatcher, and she requested we play Sailor Moon 93, otherwise known as Bushijoju Senshi Sailor Moon. I don't know. Whatever. Sailor Moon 93 is bare bones beat 'em up. Adam, you want to get your thoughts on it first?
Yeah. Well, no, let's let you go first because I know what your thoughts are already. Let's get your thoughts out of the way. Because I don't think we're going to agree on this one, surprisingly.
I didn't really like this game at all. I thought it was very boring. I thought it was uninspired, especially the backgrounds. I will give it credit where credit's due in certain parts. I thought the title music, the very first track you hear in the game, was pretty good. I liked it. I found myself nodding my head to it. I think the main character sprites look pretty good, considering the era this came out for. But the main problems I have, just the laziness and the reskinning of the colors of the enemies. And as far as the enemies, the palette they had was like maybe 4 or 5 in total in the whole game. I mean, I played the first 30 minutes. I didn't want to play more. Then I looked it up on YouTube about later levels in the game, and it doesn't look much different. It's just a bunch of storms and a bunch of little bad guys from Golden Axe with the clubs that are reskinned. So if you're a fan of Storm, you might not want to play this game. It's just, I don't know, it's very boring. I found myself getting bored within, like, not even 10 minutes. It doesn't hold up with Turtles in Time and all the badass beat-em-ups we love so nearly and dearly. Adam, what do you got?
First of all, I'm fairly certain we've gotten into this debate before, but Streets of Rage 2 is the greatest beat 'em up of all time, not Turtles in Time. So
Ooh,
There,
off the bat.
oh man, I'm telling you, Turtles in Time is the best Turtles game. Um, you could even argue it's one of the best licensed games. It's a, but it's no Streets of Rage 2, man. No Streets of Rage 2. So, anyways, my thoughts on this game are they started out just like yours. Within 10 minutes, I was bored. I felt like the music was lackluster. I've never ever watched an episode of Sailor Moon, so
No,
there's that
no clue.
that aspect. It might be lost on me a little bit. Like it might be really cool for Sailor Moon fans. Graphically, for a game that came out in 1993, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know who any of the are they all called Sailor Moon? Or are they called Sailors? I don't
No, they're named
Sailor
after like
Girls.
different planets, like Venus, Neptune, and I only know this because I looked it up for our loyal listener, or whatever, Mary, and I felt like I was obligated to give someone information out of respect that she was nice enough to give us a game to play. But yeah,
Okay, so I'm just gonna have to take that at your word. I got no clue. Sailor blonde hair, sailor other blonde hair,
yeah,
sailor brown hair. So they all have different fighting styles, which is neat. So I played it for a few minutes. Then I was like, I don't like this. The music is just, very peaceful for a beat 'em up, and the mechanics are just very, very bare bones. There's not a whole lot going on there. And about 10 minutes in, I asked the kid if she wanted to play too, because it's co-op. I had to restart anyways because I wanted to play some of the other characters to see if the move sets were different. Um, so when I played it with co-op, she's 6, so she absolutely loves this game. She's not a Sailor Moon fan. Like I said, neither one of us watched Sailor Moon, but she was super duper into it, way more so than any of the other beat 'em ups that we've ever played.
I'm sure you're going to be forced to become a fan now if she's into it. She's
Well,
going to get into
I
the
was about to
stuff.
say we went past the 30 minutes on it. We played it for probably 45 minutes or an hour. Um, so she's way into it. And yes, all the sailors, sailor planets, they all have different move sets. Unfortunately, most of their move sets are lame as hell, and they all have like really short punches, which is
Some projectiles,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
noticed.
There's projectiles if you hold well, not square but Y. So there is that that you can do projectiles, but for the most part, I found it really strange that your just basic quick jab is so short when everyone else is like very long reach.
Well, you know why they did that? So they can show off the slutty skirts on the sprites,
I
the
don't,
long legs.
yeah, but I don't know. It's also weird that they all have like wrestling move grapples.
Yeah.
Um, I was just power bombing the fucking piss out of everybody with Sailor Brown hair, whatever her name is.
Huracan Rana's all day with Sailor Purple hair from me.
Yeah, so I mean it is what it is. It's like I don't know. As far as beat 'em ups go, there are definitely better beat 'em ups. But if you're a 6-year-old girl, you'll probably like this game. So
It's
that's
probably fucking amazing if you're a 6-year-old girl, which
we've
a lot
played
of my
Streets of Rage though. I don't know why she was super into this, like, but she was. So it really is, I guess, just the simplicity of not having anything special. The enemies aren't really overly difficult. The bosses don't seem to be really difficult. So
I think that goes back to like the main character sprites are well designed, and that probably stands out to her. Like she thinks they look
yeah,
really cool.
that is. I mean, that definitely goes into the plus column for this game. Is I feel like it being a not early Super Nintendo game, but definitely not one of the later Super Nintendo games. It's right in the middle there.
Middle of the road.
Yeah, but it looks. I think it looks pretty good. If I was into the show, I'd be like, "Wow, this looks great." Especially if this was 23 years ago or whatever.
So
So
out of 10, what would you give this game, Adam?
I would give this game just right down the middle, a 5 out of 10. Um, However, the kid would probably give it, say, probably 8 out of 10. She really liked it. The only thing that got her off
Solid
of
8
wanting to
for
play
her.
it was she wanted to go play Mario Maker instead.
Yeah,
I was like,
can't
cool.
blame her
Yeah.
at all.
I was like, yeah, we can definitely go do that.
I'd have to go like a 4, maybe one lower than you.
That makes it really. it's just so like meh. Like there's not, you can't stab anybody with a knife or hit anybody with like a club. You can't like find health in trash cans.
And I think the main problem for two guys like us to review this game is like we have no emotional attachment to the IP to
That's
begin
what I
with.
mean. That's like I keep thinking like
Which is so weird, Mary, and like we said thanks, but it's so weird you requested this game. I don't know if you're trolling us, but yeah, I don't know. It's this weird game to request for us. So
I feel like if other people who aren't into Spider-Man were to go and play Separation Anxiety or Maximum Carnage, they might have the same complaints that I have with this game. And I love Maximum Carnage, so because it was
personal preference.
yeah, yeah. So she could totally be into it. It's not a horrible game. It's not fucking Zardion, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's interesting. And I think it's
You
my
know what
turn.
else is it?
It's my turn to pick a game now, right?
Yes, it is actually. I always forget that like somebody has to pick. I always try to
somebody's-
rush through that. Damn it.
Somebody's got to pick. I'll pick by the end of the show. I'll play with it in the end of my mind.
Sounds good. Well, speaking of interesting things happening, there's a lot going on in the world of Sony this week, and some breaking news today. Also, do you want to get in the freshest news, or you want to go with what was showed off earlier in the week?
I
Obviously,
think-
everyone already knows.
Yeah, we should probably start at the beginning of. Apparently, Sony's sick of being on top. They just
Yeah.
like fuck it, we're doing too good. Crash the car into the wall.
Apparently, Sony's really fucking bored counting money. So
Well, so the announcement on Wednesday, they showed off the new PS4 and the PS4 Pro. I don't know what everyone was expecting out of the Pro. I think Microsoft definitely shook things up because they were like, we've got the S and we've got this other thing called the Scorpio, and it's a console jump. So I don't know if
Yeah.
everyone was expecting Sony to make a console jump, but I never ever got the impression that that's what it was going to be. And they've said
one
that
of
it
the
was,
most lackluster conferences Sony's ever done
yeah, but at the same time,
because
they,
it was so known what was going to be announced, basically. And did anybody really ask for the Slim? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
does
I don't
anybody
know.
ever ask for a Slim? It just
I
happens.
think the PS2 Slim was a great idea. I actually loved that they went Slim with the PS2.
Every
Also with the
console does
Xbox,
that, though.
because they fixed a lot of bugs on the Xbox 360.
Well, eventually, over time, hardware becomes cheaper and smaller, so it makes
Yeah.
sense to make a slim system. But I mean, it's been happening even pre-Nintendo. I mean, look, you had the top loader. That was the slim Nintendo model. You had a slim Super Nintendo.
You had the SNES 2, right? You had the Genesis 3.
yeah,
You had
you
all
went
that stuff.
3 iterations of the Genesis. You had Hey You Pikachu N64, which I don't think really counts, but
And you know, for the most part, I always thought like the slim versions of literally every console pretty much were better.
yeah,
And
and they
I don't know.
usually are, and they're more cost effective to make, which is good for whoever's making them, and they usually pass a little bit of the savings on to the consumer. So that's totally reasonable. I don't know why or if anyone would be surprised that something like that was coming. The PS4 Pro, on the other hand, has
Yeah, I was gonna
also
say the big one.
well, this
the
has
big one.
also been rumored to only just upgrade stuff to 4K and the HDR. Why people were expecting something more than that, I don't know, but apparently they were. There was literally no rumors out there saying that this was going to be some kind of mid-step. This is every rumor out there said, yeah, this is 4K support. It's maybe a little bit more powerful, and then HDR. So, however, like you said, this was an incredibly boring press conference.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to lull you to sleep with like nonsense jibber jabber tech talk, and I don't understand how you can show off Mass Effect Andromeda for the first time that game's ever been showed off, and with such a lackluster showing.
Response.
Yeah,
Like,
they picked a very odd way to show that game. I think one of the biggest things is they're showing you this thing and they're saying, look at how much better this looks. If you have a 4K TV, you're going to see how much better this looks in 4K. However,
And
90.
they even say, and in the midst of that, they even make it a point to always say, for those lucky few of you that have one of those, like, they know that it's like there's being so asinine. They know a lot of people don't have these televisions to begin with, so you're going to promote that, like, out the ass when, if I don't have something, I don't give a shit about hearing information about it personally.
Well, more importantly, if you don't have a 4K TV, you're not going to see the difference. So for 98% of the people watching this press conference, it just looks normal. You're not going to see a difference with the 4K. So you're showing off something, but you're really just kind of talking about it and hoping that people will understand what you're talking about. It's just a very odd move. So yeah, very strange, but apparently people wanted something more out of that, which, I don't know.
Well, unfortunately, and especially in my opinion for the developers on games at Sony, there is more. Forward compatibility, doubling the work of the developers. It seems like they want to be like Konami also. I don't know, man. It's Sony.
I don't think
it's
that's
like
the
you
case.
said.
I think they got we're getting to the age where shit should be running at 60 frames a second. You should start developing your games. What gets me is like you said, the forward compatibility and the HDR patching. Sony has even come out and said some of the licenses may cost money for that, which I feel like that is going to scorn some people.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, it's a very odd thing. I don't think it's anything more or less than what I was expecting it to be. But yeah, that's not the only misstep they've made. They also decided to raise the price of PSN for an extra $10.
It's been a bad slew of weeks for Sony recently with just fan backlash and just like the PSN servers, all that shit, the fiasco that went on earlier this week. God.
Yeah, but you're new to the Sony ecosystem. That's not that big of a deal. That kind of shit happens all the time. Like by 2 weeks from now, anybody playing PlayStation isn't even gonna remember.
But my point is, like, the notorious company with that more than any other, it seems, is Sony.
Oh, absolutely.
I've never had that happen ever, hardly on the Nintendo, ever. Like,
well, yes, but the Nintendo's also locked their shit.
Okay, talk to an Xbox One owner, and very rarely do I don't know. It just seems like Xbox.
No, you still had Lizard Squad fuck them up last Christmas and shit like that.
Right.
Like, they get attacked as well.
What is it now? Poodle Core is the new one.
The fucking assholes. Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible
fucking
people.
Assholes. Hashtag
assholes. Don't hack us, assholes. But no, I mean, you want to hit something hard enough, you're going to be able to do it regardless. I don't think it's that big of a deal. However, Sony is terrified of hackers now. So they raised the price on PS Plus, which, whatever. They raised it to the same price as Xbox is doing theirs for, which kind of makes sense. If you've got a market for it, if people are willing to pay that kind of money, then you might as well get it too. However, like you just pointed out, Xbox doesn't have the same kind of issues that Sony does. Not to mention, Sony's store is a fucking joke. It's a joke. That store is awful. It's not organized. You can type in exactly what you're looking for, and you'll still have, like... Go type in Resident Evil. Do you know how... Was it really difficult for you to get the 7 demo? Like
It's really difficult for me to type out anything because the letter scroll is atrocious.
Yeah. Not to mention, and there's
yes, it was difficult to get the 7 demo, by the way. Well, that's also like a week after I first bought a PS4 because I'm newer to it. So I was just figuring out the store on top of that. Also, Overwatch is free this weekend, and players are like, how the fuck do I get the game? People have to literally like retweet how to do it. I've seen it all day on Twitter. It's hilarious. Like, it's a joke.
It's like the free games. Sony gives you free games every month. Why do you have to go through page after page after page to get to them? Why aren't they right there on the store when you load up the store?
Yeah. I think if you go down to like just the plus on the tabs, just the PS Plus, then it comes up. But you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
That shouldn't even be there. Exactly. It should all be,
you should have to look for all that other bullshit nonsense. The fact that there's giant page advertisements.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's the age we're in.
It doesn't have to be there. Nintendo has figured out how to do the store. If Nintendo has figured out how to do the store and you haven't caught up to that yet, there's a fucking problem here.
Sony has way more deals though with like companies than Nintendo does.
It
To
doesn't
have
matter.
ads in them.
You can get on the Wii U, go to the
Sony's-
store, look at the game you want, look at the video of the game you want with
Oh, I
like
know.
3 clicks.
Oh, I'll co-sign that all day, man. Like I've had the Wii U since almost the launch, and I love the store. It's my favorite store I think I've ever used because it's so accessible with the gamepad. But that being said, I never had a PS3, and I heard that store was amazing.
No, it wasn't. It was originally at launch, and then just slowly and slowly they just fucked it up more and more and more and more and more until you get into this clusterfuck that we're in now. It's just like, why did you design it this way? This is so asinine and backwards. So, and then they want to charge you more money for it, which I understand. If you're going to charge more money, that's fine, but fix the shit. If you expect people to pay more, you got to start acting like you give a fuck about this service.
And I guess their initial response to that with the better games was Journey and Lords of the Fallen, which I've only played Journey. I've yet to play, but I have installed both. Journey it's okay. I haven't played that much of it. I got to put more time into it to really judge it. It's all right. It's not overly exciting. I'll say that. So far.
I don't think it's supposed to be overly exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man.
It's okay. It's not. I don't hate it. I don't like love it. I'm just like, this. I love the sand effects. I think that looks great. For like what kind of game it is. It is pretty big. I like puzzles in games, so maybe I'm gonna give more time. Lords of the Fallen. It looks so fucking generic, dude. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll get into it. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, it's about the closest thing though that we've gotten to a AAA title on free games in quite a long time.
Yeah. Tricky Towers.
Yeah, fucking Tricky Towers. But then they also Bethesda has promised mods for Fallout 4. They've said that almost from the beginning, if not from the beginning. Xbox got mods in June, I think.
This is our breaking news actually from today.
So Xbox got mods. Then they said, oh, it's technical difficulties, and PS4 users will get it soon. Some people actually bought Fallout 4 specifically on the PS4 because they thought, hey, you get the mods on the PS4, it's fine, I don't need to buy it on the PC. These people are the people that are probably the most upset. So Bethesda came out today and was like, we'd like to give you guys mods, but Sony isn't letting us give mods out the way that we want to do it. So until Sony does that, you guys can't have mods. Sorry, PS4. Which I've spent a lot of the day thinking, and I cannot think of the last time a big name developer specifically called out Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo like that. Like saying, hey, we want to give this to you, but your mom won't let you have it. So
yeah. It's been a long time.
Which is totally fucked, because not only does that mean mods are now not coming to Fallout 4, which is what they promised, but mods are also not coming with Skyrim remaster.
Yeah.
So, like, what the fuck? That was half of my excitement for that. I got a feeling this is definitely going to hurt Bethesda's sales on that game in a couple months.
Oh, most definitely.
The Skyrim remaster probably would have been fine had you not advertised it with mods. And you were just like, oh, hey, it's the remaster. People probably still would have been hyped for it, but the fact that they showed mods and now they're like, oh, you can't have them. I mean, people on Xbox will still get it, so I don't think it's going to affect their sales on Xbox at all. And
so
if anything,
that begs the question: what was Sony's plan to do it? Was it a pay-as-you-go, like fucking just milk everyone for these goddamn mods? Is that what Sony wanted to do?
No. I don't think that's the case at all. I think what it comes down to from Sony's end, even though Sony has yet to give an official statement, but if I had to guess, it's a security concern. Because Sony is scared shitless of getting hacked again. And I think the big jailbreak and everything that's taken them offline after that was all due to user-created content being sideloaded into the system. So it's probably a security thing from Sony's point of view. However, being called out like that from Bethesda, it also makes me worry, like, where does this leave Bethesda with Sony going forward?
Exactly.
Is this going to hurt their relationship? Does this mean
Do they
that
go exclusive to Microsoft?
exactly, or in PC. 5 years from now or whatever, when Elder Scrolls 6 drops, or does that mean like, hey, Sony, you guys fucked us over last time, or even Sony, like, hey, you guys called us out and made us look stupid. I'm curious to see
They're
how this
shooting
goes.
themselves in the foot right now. They're continuously taking an semi-automatic weapon and shooting themselves in the foot in the past week or two.
I think it's been more than that. The overhype with No Man's Sky.
It's been right. It's been there, but now it's just like blatant. Like it's been like if you read between the lines with the No Man's Sky, you can see like yes, Sony totally overhyped the fuck out of that game. It was Sony's fault. If you're just like a casual person, you're just like you're not going to blame Sony because you're just seeing everyone else
as
like
much
returning.
as it is, you could. It's also kind of Sean Murray's fault. he did
True.
go on like late night talk shows and specifically talk about stuff that was not in the game. So
Right.
it's partly his fault too.
But I'm saying like your typical 9 to 5 guy just fucking doesn't give two shits about like gaming news or anything. He doesn't even know who Sean Murray is, so he sees like, oh, this game I've heard this is cool, so he gets it and he hears like all his friends are taking it back. He doesn't like, you know what I'm saying? People weren't reading between them, but now it's like Sony's blatantly like, hey everybody, go fuck yourselves, pretty much like.
That's what
Hey,
happens
you've helped us make millions of dollars, Bethesda, but by the way, fuck you. You're not getting any more food. You're going to bed, and it's way past your bedtime, and you're never waking back up.
I don't think that's so much what they're doing with Bethesda. I think Bethesda, but for Bethesda to call them out like that is a kind of an odd move. Shows that I think obviously I can't imagine you would just do that and hope that your professional relationship is still intact, because that's kind of a big thing. Basically saying, hey Sony users, the reason that you can't get this cool game that we were going to give to you is because of Sony. I don't know. That's kind of a big deal. I think it's a big deal. So
I think Sony is definitely, in my opinion, probably in a no-win situation in this in the long run. If anything, you say no because of security reasons. That also makes you look weak as a company. Like, hey, we have the worst security around. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So they can't win in that department. They can't win in like gamers, in the most part, myself included, sometimes are so jaded and fickle. But just I don't know. It's hard to please this demographic.
indeed it is. But what is happening right now with Sony is not. It's not something that's brand new. Last generation,
No.
Microsoft went into the Xbox One way too confident because they were very successful with the Xbox 360, so it made them lazy, and they went in with the Xbox One and they just totally fucked it up. The Wii was incredibly successful. Nintendo was like, wow, we sold 100 million of these motherfuckers. We can do whatever we want. Let's make the Wii U, which was a really dumb idea. Before that, Sony with the PS2, super successful. Had a really, really hard time with the PS3 at launch.
They rested on their laurels.
Yeah, so I think that's what we're seeing now. Sony's been pretty much dominating this entire generation, and now we're seeing them.
It's the old saying: the lion on the bottom of the mountain is a hell of a lot hungrier than the lion on the top with all the food.
I've never heard anyone say that.
Well, then you've never lived.
No one has ever said that.
Tom Sawyer said it.
I watched Crocodile Hunter, so I know all about lions and shit.
Death Battle: Tom Sawyer versus the Crocodile Hunter. That's a good one.
I feel like Tom Sawyer gets his ass kicked, unless he learned to like trick him somehow.
As long as he doesn't have like a stingray with. No, that's cold. I love the Crocodile Hunter. It's a shame. Way off topic.
Shout out to the Crocodile Hunter.
That's man. Well, let's see what happens next. At this point, it's just like, well, what's going to happen?
And I think another thing that people seem to be really concerned with, and this does not make any sense at all, is the PS4 Pro does not have a 4K Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Have you ever watched anything on 4K?
No.
I haven't either, but I heard like Daredevil and all the Marvel shit is fucking amazing. I've heard it's really good. I'm sure it is. It better be for that kind of money, you know.
But 4K TVs are dropping in price. I mean, TVs in general are dropping in price.
Yeah.
They always do. However, the fact that Sony owns the Blu-ray technology and did not put a 4K Blu-ray player in
Yeah, that's
to
ridiculous.
the machine. It's like years and years ago when Apple launched the iPad and it didn't have a USB port. It's like, what the fuck? You guys came up with the USB port. What the
Yeah,
fuck are you guys
really.
doing? Why is it not on here?
They rested on their laurels again.
So yeah, Sony's response to that was, well, we see more people streaming these things. Streaming video seems to be more popular than Blu-rays, which maybe they're right, but it's such an odd thing, and I feel like deep down it's probably because
you still have to give the option. It's like you're almost
Right.
obligated to give the option at that point. Like you have to have that.
and it
Especially
was probably
since
a
you
cost
invented the
benefit.
fucking shit and came out with it in the first place.
So I'm not really sure who the PS4 Pro is aimed at. It's obviously not aimed at me. It's not aimed at you.
No.
It doesn't seem to really be aimed at like parents buying a new system for the children come the holiday season.
I
Because
think it's
there's
aimed at the heavens. Just shoot it to the sky and see who catches it when it falls. I don't think it's.
maybe
I
like
don't know who the fuck it's aimed. That is the ultimate question in this. Who is the same at? You're right.
like people who are really into 4K and HDR, I guess. But at the end of the day,
it's aimed at rich rappers who want to show it off. It's always like, you know what I'm saying?
like pour
I don't know.
champagne on it.
Basketball players, football players in the NFL.
I feel like that would be a very strange demographic to shoot towards. Like, hey, millionaire superstars, athletes, come play Madden in 4K. Fuck Madden.
It's more sense than any other demographic they think it's aimed at, I guess.
Yeah, I really like. Obviously, there's people out there like early adopters, first adopters, but I don't. I just
It's aimed at doctors.
no, not doctors. Adopters, and doctors because they've got the money for it.
Operation Remastered.
If I ever were to buy another PS4, I guess I would probably pick that one up. I guess, but I don't know. It's not like I'm gonna go trade in my PS4. Like, well, fucking, I need 4K, even though I don't have a 4K TV. But let's get a, like, I don't know.
Well, Sony also announced they're going to update a lot of the older games. There was like a big list of games that are going to be updated for both. Final Fantasy 15 obviously is on there. A lot of big titles. It's going to be interesting with this forward compatibility, if anything, to see what truly becomes of this in the long run, I guess. And this is like the dawning of kind of a new era. Like everything's going in reverse. It was all about backwards compatibility. You know what I mean? It's like, what's going on? Future is now.
It's just upscaling.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. It's strange. Fuck you, Sony. That's what I say. They had a very in one hand, so you got 40 million units sold, right? So on one hand, you don't want to be like, hey guys, thanks for buying 40 million of these over the last 2 years. Here's one that's even better that makes yours obsolete because you don't want to piss off the base. However, you also have to make it seem exciting enough to try to sell it to more people without pissing off the 40 million people that already own the PS4. That's where they fucked up because it's an impossible sell. How do you say, hey, this is really good, you guys really should buy this, without saying, like, this thing's so good that it makes your thing look like shit?
Yeah, just like the election.
Yeah, you can't do it. So that's where Microsoft kind of is a little bit has the advantage because they basically came out and said, hey, we fucked up. Xbox One, we're sorry. You don't like TV. You don't like sports. You don't like mocap dogs. We're sorry. Here's this other thing. And it's coming next year. And you can buy it. Or not. Because you can get all the games on Windows 10 anyways. But if you want it, it's coming next year. And it's the most powerful thing ever made. And supposedly, I mean, as long as Microsoft's not lying about those specs, then absolutely. The Scorpio.
Those specs look like they're on point. This is the Microsoft Scorpio.
Yeah.
Oh.
So even if you took the PS4 Pro and doubled the teraflops, you're still not, and you're not even at 60%
You still need at least 3 more flux capacitors in that thing to even close.
Gigawatts. So no, Microsoft is. I don't know. This could be a big turn for them. I can't imagine Sony really blowing the hinges off of this thing with the PS4 Pro. And the PS4 Slim is actually just the PS4 now. They're just done making the kind of PS4 that you have and that I have. So the Slim will be the PS4 from now on. It's just going to be the base model.
A lot of gaming, now that I think about it, is like the holiday season especially. Middle class, white collar families, the parents, what's the kid he's going to like? A lot of gaming is word of mouth. Like if parents get a whiff of something is better graphics, they're going to get it for their kids, or like kids in school. Oh, this is more powerful. Kids are just
That's not true though. This has been going on since we've been children. This is blast processing all over again. Nobody gives a fuck. And parents especially don't give a fuck. If you've got a PS4 and you're 8 years old and the kids in the school are telling you about 4K and gigaflops and every other fucking bullshit technical term that nobody really cares about and that 8-year-olds don't understand, there's no fucking way that 8-year-old's coming home and being like, I need this. And the parents are like, you know what? 6 teraflops? You're absolutely right.
That's what I'm saying, though. I don't think there's going to be a teraflop in sight in the conversation. They're just going to be like, well, this is the strongest. Oh, cool. And they're going to tell their parents that this is the strongest, or this is the most powerful, the best graphics. When I was a kid, it was all about the graphics for a time. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't about the gameplay in a period for me when I was younger. I didn't know any better. Who does when they're that young? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but I don't think no parents that don't know what a fucking teraflop is going to be like, you know what, you're right, we just bought you that thing 2 years ago, but let's go buy you another expensive thing because it's got more teraflops. They're not going to fucking understand.
We definitely need a hashtag teraflops going.
It's a movement, people. Make it start. Get it started.
Get it moving like Rocky in Rocky 4.
Like in Rocky 4? When he's got the beard?
Oh, yeah.
With the lonely heart that's about to burst.
He's not an owner of a lonely heart. His heart's about to burst. But the show's about to burst if we don't move on with all this Sony talk. I know that.
Yeah, it's also the Dreamcast's birthday. I guess we should talk about that real quick before we get into top 3.
17th anniversary of the Dreamcast. I'm feeling elderly anymore. I'm getting older, man.
Dreamcast was fun. It was fun. It still is pretty fun. Do you know that you can just take a CDR and just burn games in your computer and just put the CDR in your Dreamcast and it'll play? Yeah. Like, there is no protection on that thing. I cannot believe it.
Games are still made to this day for the Dreamcast. It's usually like shooters, shmups, or whatever have you. But yeah,
well, you can say the same thing though. If I'm not mistaken, someone released a game for Nintendo a couple months ago. For the
homebrews
NES.
And stuff. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the NES homebrews.
But yeah, Dreamcast, it was a fun system. The VMU.
Did you have a Dreamcast, or did you have it later, like you said on previous episodes about you always got systems later?
No, I actually had Dreamcast at launch.
Awesome.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite games for the Dreamcast?
House of the Dead 2. Skies of Arcadia, Crazy Taxi, Quake 3, NBA NBA Showtime. That game was so fucking awesome.
It really was. I love that game.
Soul Calibur, Trick Style, which that game is bad in retrospect, but I played the fucking hell out of that game.
About some Jet Set.
No, I never played Jet Set Radio. I still have never played Jet Set Radio. Oh,
man, you gotta remedy that someday.
I watched Gary play it. Fuck you, Gary. So, that's all I gotta say about that. No. Man, there was this Skies of Arcadia was awesome. I feel like I played Grandia 2 on there as well. Yeah, because it didn't come out on PS2 until later. Grandia 2 was an excellent RPG. That game was fantastic.
That game was awesome.
I feel like Skies of Arcadia was... I don't know. I had a lot of fun with Grandia there. Skies of Arcadia was fucking fantastic. And I still have... I've got actually both versions of Skies. I've got the one for the GameCube and the one for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, you got the GameCube version.
So, but yeah, House of the Dead, man, I remember we used to play House of the Dead all the time.
I think it's one of my favorite systems as far as fighting games. God, so much goodness if you're into 2D fighters on the Dreamcast. The first home port of Soul Calibur unless you count Soul Edge. I guess you should count that. I'm not sure how you look at that in
I
your
don't count it.
scorebook. Yeah, man, the Dreamcast. I never got into Shenmue. Really. I tell you what game I loved. It's one of my all-time favorite football games. Is the NFL 2K series on the Dreamcast was excellent.
Oh, here's a fun fact about the Dreamcast. Did you know that EA was like, fuck you, Sega?
Yeah, that's why they had to have their own their spinoff or whatever.
No, that they had their spinoff first. Because EA...
2K series.
Yeah, the 2K stuff. And EA was like, wait a minute, what are you trying to pull here? We're the only sports game in town. And Sega was like, we don't need you. And that turned out to be a huge mistake. And that was actually one of the contributing factors on why it failed.
Yeah, they pulled the plug as far as letting them use the license and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was no Madden games for it. And apparently Madden is a much larger game than I usually give it credit for.
I've heard of Madden. I think it sounds familiar from time to time.
I never really think of Madden as a system seller, but it kind of is.
Oh, it definitely is.
You've got people out there that like only play Madden games. You know
You
what I
have
mean?
people out there that are going to buy Madden every year.
It just
Doesn't
seems
matter.
so weird to me, but you do have people like midnight release going out to the midnight release of Madden. I don't know why it's weird to me, but
It's weird to us because these are also people that, for more than likely, talked about last week too. Talk about a past stream about fantasy football. They probably play fantasy football, so rosters are a big deal to these hardcore football fans that buy this game every year.
yeah.
It's all about the updated rosters. They need that shit. It's like they need it in their veins injected. I need it updated immediately.
So it is weird that, but who would have known that, telling EA to go fuck off would.
But see, I'm
eventually
like a
contribute.
hardcore wrestling fan, and like the WWE wrestling series has gone that route. But I'm not like I haven't bought a wrestling game at least since like WWE 2K14. I'm not clamoring because they don't update the rosters that much. I'm like, well, I can just
Oh,
in these games too. So I don't know.
you just completely cut
Weird.
out. But I'll just pretend like I heard what you said. I agree with that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're back.
Oh, the curtain's still pulled back, guys. It's one of those episodes.
It is one of those. Oh, this is gritty. This is real from the streets.
True grit.
True grit. So,
yeah.
Happy birthday, Dreamcast.
Happy birthday, Dreamcast. It was a shame. I think if it would have been released a year, maybe 2 years earlier, it would have done obviously better. The PS2 destroyed the Dreamcast in the long run, and it was sad. It was a great little system. Also, shout out to the Power Stone series. I love Power Stone.
Oh, yeah, Power Stone. That was
You
one
hate
of the
Power
best,
Stone?
No, I love Power Stone. That was
Oh,
one
I
of the
thought
best
you said you
fighting
hate
games. Actually, I like Power Stone more than I like Soul Calibur.
Really?
We played Power Stone all the time. Yeah, that was a fun
All
game.
the way live.
That was like the kind of the precursor to Smash Brothers.
It really
I felt
was. What was the PS2? This like the Smash Brothers spit like rip off kind of they did. That you had, I remember back in the day, and you played it all the time with like your current wife. If I remember when she was just your girlfriend, you guys would play that game a lot.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
It was a Sony. It was on the PS2, and it was like Smash Brothers, but it had like Sony characters in it.
Was it Onimusha Blade Warriors?
Possibly.
Yeah, that was just like Capcom characters, and you could unlock Mega Man, and you could unlock Zero. But it was, other than that, it was just Onimusha characters. That game was fun. Yeah, I used to play the fuck out of that game too.
You fucks with it.
I don't think it was as similar to Smash Brothers as you're remembering.
We could be thinking about two totally different games. It's another game, I'm sure, but it'll come to my senses sometime, and I'll be reminded. I'll feel like a dumbass.
Blade Warriors was fun though. That was a good game.
Here's something that I don't know if I'm gonna think's fun because I'm not a mobile gamer. Super Mario Run, Adam.
Super Mario Run. I think that's a smart move for Nintendo. We'll see. I think they got to be really careful diving into the mobile market. Obviously, they're trying to capitalize on the success of Pokemon Go. I know this was part of their long-term plan. What is strange is there was no... this game kind of came out of nowhere. I think all the signs were pointing to a Fire Emblem game and an Animal Crossing game to be the next mobile games, and yet now those games have been delayed, and here we have a Mario Run game, which is weird. I feel like they were like, hey, we're going to need to come a little bit harder than Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing. Like, let's bust out Mario. So it's interesting. I think it's dumb that it's coming to iOS first. Miyamoto did say it has been confirmed that it's coming to Android next year. So I guess it's releasing this year in December for Apple.
Yeah, they said holiday season.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think it's going to be like, oh my god, this is the best game ever. But I think it's
No way.
It's, for me, it's more interesting that they kind of pushed back the other two games that they had planned to kind of like jam a Mario game out of nowhere. So,
Yeah, because there is a die-hard Animal Crossing market out there.
not anything like, if you're talking about you want to put your brand on something, you do it with Mario. Which is, I mean, it makes sense.
I understand that.
This is what they should have done from the beginning. However, I love Fire Emblem and I love Animal Crossing. So I would have been happy. I would actually probably be more stoked if they're like, Fire Emblem's coming in December, or Animal Crossing. We haven't had a new Animal Crossing game since the 3DS one, I guess, was the last one. And then they made this fucking weird costume collector one for the Wii U. But fuck it.
First of all, Mitomo shouldn't even have been made. It's terrible. I couldn't get into it.
I don't think that had the impact that anybody thought that it was going to. It's very underwhelming. But that's okay because it was such little impact. I don't think it's pretty much gone completely under the radar. So Nintendo can come out and say, hey, here's Mario, this is us. And I think, you know.
It was a case of them popping their cherry in the mobile market.
They're definitely, I mean, there is a market out there. They've got to be careful, though, because what you don't want to do is turn a bunch of people onto this Mario thing and then have it fuck with the NX on some level. You know what I mean? Where people are like, oh, well, I really like that Mario Run game, but I don't know if I want to play this Mario game because it's not on my phone, and, you know, I'm already you know, I don't want to, I've always got my phone, I don't think I need to invest in this, and if I want to play a Mario game, I'll just do it on my phone. So I think they have to be careful, because I think that is a pretty real possibility, that you completely spin it and too hard. But we'll see.
It's really weird that Nintendo's in the mobile market in general. It was inevitable. They had to do it, especially considering their business. But
not necessarily. They're still, the only thing that is holding them afloat is the 3DS, which is its own mobile market. So to have little games like this kind of makes sense. I don't know. For me, it's weird.
They're just at the point where they have to branch out. They have to do something. You know what I mean? Garner some sort of spotlight, attention, what have you. Just stay relevant. Keep it fresh. I don't think it's a bad... I mean, look at fucking... I know it's not Nintendo, but look at the phenomenon of Pokemon Go. Nintendo could release it when Animal Crossing does finally come out. Maybe it's sweep, not to that extent, but it's that popular that helps business. You know.
I don't think on any level anybody is going to expect Fire Emblem or Animal Crossing to do the kind of stuff that Pokemon Go has done.
Oh, I disagree. I don't know about Fire Emblem, but I expect Animal Crossing to do extremely well.
I think they can both do well, but I don't know if any other mobile game this year, or maybe even next year, is going to do the same kind of damage that Pokemon Go has done. Damage in a good way.
Then you have Sun and Moon right around the corner.
Exactly. So, which is wise, because it's obviously generated a lot more buzz and hype about Pokemon series in general. I think it's brought Pokemon into the spotlight, and hopefully this works the same way with this Mario game, and I think that's exactly what Nintendo's trying to do. They're trying to say, hey, look at this Mario thing. Remember Mario? You guys like Mario. Remember him? He's awesome. Yeah. And then they're going to drop the NX come March, and they're going to be like, hey, by the way, check out this Mario game. You remember Mario? You were playing him on your phone last month. Yeah.
You definitely see where they're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and it's smart.
See. Hopefully it's smart.
Speaking of Nintendo, last thing on my list, man, speaking of IPs that are near and dear to Nintendo fans' hearts, The Legend of Zelda was announced Monster Hunter Edition.
Yeah,
it's been in the works for a while, but...
Don't know nothing about it. Saw a quick clip of it today and was like, don't care.
I thought you were a big Monster Hunter fan.
No, I've never played Monster Hunter.
I thought you told me that you played Monster Hunter 4. You had Monster Hunter 4 that just came out recently.
Nope. I've never owned any Monster Hunter games.
Oh, it's totally depending on you to take this segment, but I have no affiliation to Monster Hunter either, so. But yeah, that's out there. Legend of Zelda Monster Hunter for all you Monster Hunter fans.
There is there's a Zelda game. It's not a Zelda game. It looks like Zelda. It looks a lot like Zelda, actually. And it's dropping for the PS4 this month. But I can't think of the name of it, so there's probably no reason to mention it. But I did. So, there you go. PS4 game looks a lot like Zelda. You ride around in a boat.
You got everybody salivating, and then you took the pork chop away at the last second.
It does look a lot like a Zelda game. It's, I feel like it's called, like, Ocean something. Fuck it. We'll talk about it next week, I guess.
We'll talk about it.
I'll do a little bit of research. But yeah, Zelda Monster Hunter, I'm out of fights to give for that. Ran out.
I think it's top 3 time, though.
I think it is top 3 time.
My voice loses there for a second. Before we hit the top 3, shout out to our friend Octavia's Kitten, who was supposed to be on the show tonight. 2 hours before the show, I got a message from her saying her internet crapped out, so that sucks. We were excited to have her on. She wanted to talk about a bunch of Klonoa, and that's fine by me because I love all things Klonoa related. She had her top, her top 3 list done. She was ready to go, but maybe in a couple weeks we'll have her back on. We'll see. So
we will see. So our top 3 was a suggestion from someone.
It was a suggestion on our YouTube channel, and also check us out on SoundCloud, which we haven't yet to promote an hour into the show. We're awesome like that.
Yeah, I still don't really understand SoundCloud. So if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, good job. You figured out more about SoundCloud than I have.
Keep jogging.
Keep jogging.
Don't stop.
Just keep jogging.
Top 3 this week. Top 3 action platformers of all time. Now, before we get into this, what classifies an action platformer? I think the general consensus is like it's a Castlevania-ish, I don't know, a Shinobi. I don't think of Mario or Sonic when I think of action platformer because the first word is action. There is action in Mario, you can say, like all the power-ups, but to have like a weapon with you continuously, to rely on it more than jumping on the enemy's heads, I guess that's where I draw the line. Now, I don't have a problem if any of your choices are Mario and Sonic.
That's an asinine line to draw. You're obviously getting upgrades.
That is not an asinine line.
Yes, it is. You're getting upgrades. You're just not holding a physical weapon in Mario or Sonic. But Mario more so than Sonic. Sonic, you're pretty much either Sonic or Supersonic, and your objective is to jump on stuff. Mario.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm going to let them slide if you want to have them on your list. But for me, they're not on my list because for me personally, I don't classify it as that when I hear action platform. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, they definitely.
But you can have them on your list, by all means.
They're not on my list, but I feel like they very certainly could be. I don't think there's any real distinction that could say Super Mario is not an action platformer.
Very good.
He blows up castles and knocks down bridges with an axe. I mean, that's pretty action-y.
But he's never swung a whip in his life.
He shoots hot fire from his hands. Hot fireballs. Throws them. Some in Belmont don't throw no fireballs.
I guess Mario's just fucking OP as shit and doesn't belong in an action platformer anyway.
Well, let's kick this off. You want to go first?
You want me to kick it off this week? I feel like you always kick it off, and it's not fair to you.
All right, you kick it off. I'm ready. I've got my 3. I'm confident.
I've got my 3 as well. My number 3, one of my top 5 Sega Genesis games. I love this game. I don't like the sequel nearly as much. Rocket Knight Adventures, for me, great game.
How the fuck does Rocket Knight Adventures make it on there, but you say Mario is not an action platformer?
Because I'm not classifying them in the same group. Now, compared to a Mario, of course, Mario is superior as an overall game.
I know, but what is it that defines...
It's like, hey, try this burger. Well, my pizza's better. Well, how do you compare that?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. How is Rocket Knight an action platformer?
You constantly have your sword that you're shooting constantly shooting projectiles, not just with the power-up. You're also, the gimmick where you hold the C button and you charge up your rocket was fucking awesome. It still holds up to this day. It's a big part of killing enemies. I kill more enemies with the dash attack than the sword, to be honest. I don't know. It just is. It's an action platform, and get over it, man. It just is.
All right.
It just is.
My number 3.
Why you always got to have a problem with my picks?
No.
I feel like every pick I have, it's like, let's split the hairs.
I feel like you go into this going, how can I split the hairs with my picks? What picks can I
feel
have?
like you think I go into these lists like, well, how can Travis fuck this countdown up and make it awful? But I'm sticking by my pick, Rocket Knight Adventure. Do you like the Rocket Knight Adventure game, Adam?
Actually, I have played it here and there on emulators, but I never had it as a kid. I've got no attachment to that game. It's not an awful
I never
game.
had it as a kid, but I played on Sega Channel a lot as a kid. So that's something neat.
That is something kind of neat. For me, it's weird that a Sega Genesis game made it on to your list. If we're splitting hairs.
Oh, man.
My number 3 is Mega Man 3, and if you don't like it, suck it, because that's
God damn it.
could have easily been number 1.
Son of a bitch. God damn.
But
That's my number 2, Mega Man 3, my all-time favorite Mega Man game.
Man.
Let's
that is awesome.
talk about why we love it, collectively.
Yeah, Mega Man 3, Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3 are very close in my mind. I think the music in 3, I think we've been over this, I think the music in 3 is a little bit better. And 3 is when they added the slide. So I feel like that just kind of, you put those together.
Hit up the ante.
Yeah. Plus Proto Man, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Proto Man.
Plus that fucking soundtrack, the fucking Snake Man stage. Oh, so much goodness about Mega Man 3.
There really
Just
is.
go on and on.
It's a pretty near perfect game. So. Which.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah, that was easy. No splitting hairs on Mega Man 3. My number 2 is Splunky. I don't know if you would count that. You have bombs, and there's enemies, and you have a whip. So I feel like by your standards, this hits every check mark on action platformer. All the levels are completely randomly generated, so it's got roguelike elements. But yeah, that game, I love Splunky. I was just playing Splunky like an hour ago before we started this. That game is fantastic and will not get old because it just randomly generates levels. It's easy to pick up and ridiculously hard to master. I beat it one time out of like 700 deaths or something like that. It's pretty crazy, but I love that game. That game's fantastic. If you haven't played Splunky, go play Splunky. Do yourself a favor. That's my number 2. And the music is neat. It's only a handful of tracks, but they're not annoyingly repetitious, which I feel like is important because this is a game that you're going to die a lot and you're going to keep playing a lot. So, but it's good. Go play it. It's got a secret ending and everything. Lots of little tiny stuff. Lots of secrets in this game. So, very fun game. Number 2.
Very good. I've never played it. I definitely want to check it out. I don't have anything to say really because I can't speak from experience on it. I'll take your word for it.
I'll stream I'll show you what it's like. I'll stream when we're done recording for a minute.
Sounds good.
Show you the game.
We'll put it on Hibiki TMD. We'll check out some Splunky.
Cool.
So stay tuned for that. Definitely. My number 1, I didn't want to... Obviously, if anyone knows me, you know it's going to be a Castlevania game. But, that being said, I want to go... And I always say Bloodlines when I talk about my... But I'm going to go Super Castlevania 4 just because
Wait a minute.
the 8-directional whipping, the swinging...
I thought you liked Bloodlines more than Super Castlevania.
But I do... But for an overall package, if I was suggesting to someone the top 3 action platformers, see, I think Bloodlines is better because it's a personal preference thing, but I do think, and I always say that it's so close, hard for me to pick between those two because it's so close. But I just think I do like the music, I think, better in Bloodlines, and I know that's asinine to a lot of people, but it's just me, man, it's what I like. But I'm going to put Super Castlevania 4 at the top of my list, just because my biggest complaint about Bloodlines, it feels a little slippery at times, and Castlevania 4 feels tighter also. That's why.
I totally agree with you. If I were to put a Castlevania game on here, it would be probably Castlevania 1. Just because 4 is probably better. But 1 was kind of a game
started
changer.
it all.
Yeah. So, and if you're talking music, I think you may not even agree with me here, but Simon's Quest has the best music. Not the best Castlevania game, but I think it definitely has the best soundtrack.
I think 1 2 and 3 have the best soundtracks. I know I just said like 1, 2, 3, but
Yeah.
so I like the original Castlevania more. I think we did a top soundtrack countdown way back. I think that was up there, but that's my second favorite Castlevania soundtrack probably. So I totally agree with that.
My number one game is I'm actually dumbfounded that this didn't make it onto your list. Do you want to guess what it is?
Contra.
Nope. Wait a minute. You count
Ninja Gaiden.
Contra as Ninja Gaiden I could see, but Contra you count as an action platformer?
I do.
What are the
Especially
rules
3.
to this anymore? I don't understand. I don't
3
understand.
definitely has.
That's
3 has a
shooter.
lot of platforming elements on the very first stage. We got to like hang on to the bar with the fire and stuff.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Way more than hardcore or like the original.
No, but my number one is a game that is super awesome, and the reason that it's
I
number
know
one.
what it is.
Do you think you know what it is?
I think I know what it is.
I bet you don't know what it is. I'll give you one more guess.
You give me one more guess?
I'll give you one more guess. Yeah.
Booger Man.
No, what Booger? No, it's not Booger Man.
I know, I'm just messing. What is your number one?
It is Shovel Knight.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. That game, there is not a single thing wrong with that game. That game took elements from every decent action platformer and rolled them all into one. It took shit from DuckTales. It took shit from Castlevania. It took shit from Zelda. It took shit. There is not one misstep. It took shit from Mega Man. Every part of that game is an homage to another game, and it's all culminated into this one perfect game. So,
have you played the Plague of Shadows DLC?
No, I haven't. I need to download that.
It's fun.
We were playing that a couple nights ago. But that game's fantastic.
I can't think of one complaint I have about Shovel Knight. It's a perfect game.
Yeah, it is a 10 out of 10 game. Like if there's any complaint, it would be that, maybe it's not quite as difficult as it could be. But I feel like it's a perfect amount of difficulty for kids today that are playing.
I feel like the difficulty, especially when you're at the last level, is definitely up there.
I played it through it on the hard mode, or the hardest setting, and it wasn't that bad. Of course, that was like my second playthrough at that point, so I was a little bit more familiar with the game. But man, the soundtrack, the sprites, the design of the bosses, every single thing about that game is perfect. So that's why it beat out Mega Man. That's why it beat out Splunky. Yeah, just because it's like the beautiful Frankenstein of action platformers.
It is. You know what else is a beautiful Frankenstein? My game review I did, my Hibiki Quickie on Shovel Knight. So check that out, guys, on the channel.
Check
Go
it
back in the
out.
playlist.
Yeah, that's why I really thought Shovel Knight would have made it onto your list. That's why
I'm actually kicking myself because you're right, it didn't cross my mind. What the fuck was I thinking?
As soon as we started discussing, like, what is our top 3 going to be, the Shovel Knight, I was like, okay, well, there's Shovel Knight, and there's Splunky, and I got to pick a Mega Man game. So this was probably the fastest I've ever put together a list at all.
It was pretty easy.
So, but yeah, that's top 3. So I guess.
Thank you, Sasha Janine. I think was that, or was that, Hoppin' Bruce Biggs?
Yeah.
Thank you for your list.
Yeah, that was a good list. So if you have ideas for the top 3, just leave them in the comment below. The top 3 reasons Gary sucks is eligible. We haven't done that one yet, so if you want to hear that, type it up in the comments, and we'll do that one.
Most definitely. Always hit that like, subscribe button, guys. What else is going on in the show tonight, Adam? Have we hit the end of the road like boys to men?
We are at the end of the road. We are at the end of the back street.
Oh, hoo, hoo.
You see where I was going with that? Backstreet's back. All right.
All right. Well, let's see what next week brings. Hopefully we have our friend Kelly on for the first time. That should be interesting. Kelly's a good guy, a good retro gamer, and he's always been a big supporter of the channel. Adam, I think we're going to go stream some Splunky.
Yep. It's going to happen.
So,
get ready.
Abruptly ending the show, I'm Travis!
Gary sucks, I'm Adam.
We will see you guys right here next week on the Hard to Name Podcast.
Peace. Gary sucks.
Hey guys, you can follow me on Twitter at TheHibikiTMD. Thanks for watching another video. As always, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. This is HibikiTMD, everything retro gaming, pro wrestling podcast, and everything in between. Right here on Hibiki.